The profit motive is natural. The desire to grow wealth is natural. And wealthy people want to become even wealthier. Now, here's the thing. When you get to a certain point of wealth, you look at the Kennedys, you look at the Pelosi's, you look at the Clintons, you look at some of these the Kerrys. Ted Kennedy's estate doesn't have to make one investment to be profitable. What would you say is the average interest rate on a savings account or a high yield checking? 1%? Maybe 2%? If you got $25 million in the bank, you got $50 million in the bank, you got $100 million in the bank, you have $50 million in the bank, you're the Kennedy estate, you have $50 million in the bank. What's 1% of $50 million compounded? Think about that. There's no drive in that. You just sit back and let the bank pay you interest. You say, wasn't that even worse? Well, it's easy for you to have disdain for the profit motive and the eagerness to invest and grow other people's businesses and provide capital for new ventures when you make six figures by sitting on your fat ass and doing nothing. It's real easy for someone like a Hollywood A-lister who acts when they want to and makes $20 million for pretending to be someone else to have a disdain for the free market. The free market, let me use the word. I don't think I've ever used this word before, Rizzuto, to describe the profit motive, lust. Is lust a deadly sin? Some might say so. But the profit motive is lust. It's a lust for wealth. It's a lust for prosperity. It's a lust for life. And when you have millions of dollars and you have a lust for profit, where do you put that money? In the hands of people who are going to create new businesses and new technologies and new cures. And they're going to hire more people and more people are going to have money. The investor, the profit motive, the lust for wealth is a good thing. It's a great thing. It's what grows businesses. It's what creates jobs. It's what creates cures and advances technologies. Not having trust fund babies who sit on their fat, disgusting asses in Massachusetts and just collect a paycheck from interest. If you look at the majority of liberal elites in this country, look at where they get them. Where did John Kerry get that money from? Well, he's a gigolo living off the fortune of a dead senator. Senator John Hines. His wife got his estate, and then Kerry married her like a gigolo. And now he gets to windsurf in one of his 8 different homes. He didn't earn that money. He didn't create something in the process. Bill Clinton gets what, $100,000 for a speech? What is he creating in the process? Nothing. How did John Edwards get his money? You want to talk about the evils of wealth? Well, look, I don't think wealth is evil. If you can make your money giving a speech, so be it. But let not that speech be about how awful somebody is for investing their money and then making a return on their investment. And that's why Bill Gates sickens me when he talks like that. 1-866-95-PATRIOT. I think Bill Gates has moved into a world where he is just, I don't know, insulated from reality. That has to be what it is. But when you think about a return on investment, you think about that lust for profit. That's what grows the economy and creates the cures and builds the hospitals and advances the technologies. Probably in some point, Bill Gates doesn't want somebody else to outdo Microsoft. That's one of the things that liberals don't understand about the free market. Are we to believe that Bill Gates is the be-all, end-all? That's it? Microsoft is where it ends? If we believed that, then it would have ended with IBM. No, it would have ended with the abacus. People would have said, well, we can count with these beads on these rods here. No need to advance anything. When technology is free to develop, can you imagine people standing around going, Gutenberg guy, this press, I guess that's faster than a scribe. Well, that's all that's going to ever be. Can you imagine if we stopped at the Gutenberg press? If the people of the day who thought like the liberals of today thought that that's all that there was ever going to be, and they said, all right, Gutenberg got rich, and we've got the Gutenberg press, and we've managed to use the apparatus of the state to get ourselves one of his presses to print government documents. That's all. Well, that's all. To believe that Bill Gates and Microsoft is the period or the exclamation point or the punctuation on the sentence that is technology is asinine. It's asinine. Right now, as we speak, somebody is or wants to be developing the next Microsoft. Why should the government penalize that person and penalize the people who would invest with that person? Do you really believe that the pharmaceutical companies that we have in the United States are the last that will ever be developed? You know what's funny is there's so many liberals working here at Sirius and XM. If the people that created Sirius XM had the vision of the liberals that work here, we would have said, well, there's AM and FM. What else do you need? I mean, there's AM and FM. There are choices. Look, AM, FM. And there's lots of stuff on the AM dial and the FM dial. It was somebody saying, you know what? We can do better than AM and FM. We'll have XM. We'll have Sirius. If you believe what you believe about technology and pharmaceuticals, why are you listening to Sirius XM satellite radio? Everything you'll ever need to know about radio is on AM and FM. The fact is, you never know what's coming. And when government what drives investment? The lust for profit and the return on investment. When people seek to profit, others profit in the process. Great ideas, engineers, technology, pharmaceutical researchers. It all takes capital and the desire to grow capital. 1-866-95-PATRIOT. It's amazing how people think that we are at the end of civilization. We're not the end of civilization. Look at your cell phone. Look at your cell phone. Where was your cell phone 20 years ago? And where was it 40 years ago? 20 years ago, it was a brick. 40 years ago, it didn't exist. Why do you think you have widgets and apps and GPS in your cell phone? Why? Because the people with a lust for profit didn't stop developing, and people invested, and they profited, and they invested more, and they made more profits, and there was more technology, and more production, and more jobs, and more technology, and there it is, boom, in your hand. Or do you just think somebody developed a BlackBerry because you had to update your Facebook page? Why do you think there's Facebook? Why do you think there's Facebook? 1-866-95-PATRIOT. We still have the video up of Milton Friedman and the pencil. Watch that video sometime. How does a pencil become a pencil? And why is there a pencil? Because people desire to write. The arguments cannot be broken on this program. It's just a simple fact. I'm sorry for you liberals who are so bothered, who are so offended, who are so disgusted, who've invested your entire minuscule mental capacity in the apparatus of the state, but you're wrong. You're 100% wrong, and that's the problem. All right, we got to go. Hannity's up next, then Levin, then Cam and Company. Check out NJTPartiesUnited.com. We're right there wrong. That's the end of the story. The Wilkow Majority, Sirius XM Patriot.